Welcome to this first video about this interesting topic, which is about Introduction to Linguistics. In this video, I'm going to talk about human language and animal communication systems. So pay attention because I'm going to explain some important concepts that you should know in order to master the main topics in this course, which is Introduction to Linguistics. Okay, finally, we can start exploring the basics of human language together. This course, students, is all about variety because that's what human language is all about, okay? But we will also look at things that are the same in all languages. This particular module or topic is our introduction, and that may mean that it's actually the most important module of all because we are going to define our field of research by asking certain questions. Okay, questions like this one. What is language? Do animals have language? How many languages are there in the world? How do we count those languages? How are they related to each other? What do linguists do? How do they get their data and what are informants? Okay, so in this first video, we're going to look a little bit at animals too. Okay, do animals have a language as well? Well, it's clear that animals communicate, right? So your cats, so your cats may communicate to you a little bit, or chimpanzees in a zoo may clearly talk to each other in some way. But it's also clear that there are differences between animal communication and human communication, right? Your cat can communicate maybe some of her needs to you, but you will never be able to have a full conversation with your cat or your dog, okay? And apes may have even more complicated systems of talking to each other, but the chimpanzees, will never teach a course like this, for example, okay? So we have signs clearly than those apes or cats, okay? We have more words, but is that the only difference? It's the only difference that we have more? Well, obviously the answer to that question is no. And we're going to look at three dimensions in which language, human language, of course, and animal communication are different. These concepts or these three dimensions are discrete infinity, displacement, and joint attention. So don't worry for now if you don't understand the concepts. I'm going to explain those concepts, okay? First, here we have discrete infinity. That maybe sounds a little bit complicated, but it's actually quite simple. Why do I say that? Well, discrete means limited or countable, okay? A discrete system is a system with a limited number of things in it. The alphabet is an excellent example. English has an alphabet of 26 letters. That's a limited discrete set, but with these limited items you can make many different words, and with those many different words you can construct or you can make many different sentences. How many? While I would explain infinitely many, any thought which gets into your head you can express, and there are infinitely many thoughts probably, right? I can also prove that there are infinitely many sentences, because if there would be infinitely many, there would be one sentence which would be the longest of this finite sentence. Now, I could take that sentence and say, Peter says, and then that sentence would already be longer. And I could repeat that procedure. I could say, John says that, Peter says that, and then our longest sentence, right? Mark says that, Peter says that, John says, and so on. But admittedly, those sentences would not be extremely interesting. but they would be longer and longer and longer, infinitely long, as a matter of fact, okay? Not so for animals. Apes also have a discrete set systems of calls, for example, a limited number of calls, but they cannot combine them to make more and more and more complicated systems. They only have a limited number of combinations. So that's we need to look at, okay, and pay attention to that. Now I'm going to explain the second dimension, which is displacement. Displacement. This is the second difference with animal communication. We humans can talk about our here and now, but also about things far away in the past, okay, in the past, on the moon, or even about completely abstract things which we have never seen or will never see. Most animals don't have that. Bees can communicate about space because they can dance and wiggle and show other bees where they find their honey, for example. It's a lovely system, but it's very, very limited. They can only talk about honey they have really seen. They cannot talk about some abstract honey on the moon or something like that. Finally, I'm going to explain the other dimension, which is joint attention. Okay, joint attention is the third characteristic. Um, there's a notion of joint attention and shared intentionality. We humans work together as a team very often, and that is something that animals can do, work as a team. We work as a team in the school, at college, in the church, or any association. We can work together as a team. We work as a team where we have a shared goal and each has their own role in achieving that goal. In order to be able to do that, it means that we have to read each other's minds, and a little bit we have to see what the other person is trying to do, so that we can help that other person in achieving that goal. Language, of course, helps in that procedure, in that process. Language is inherently cooperative, and this is very important, people. Language is cooperative, but for animals, this is very different. Some apes have joint attention. That means that they can look at the same thing and maybe be aware that they look at the same thing, but they don't work together in this very complicated way in which we humans can do so, okay? We have now seen in this presentation that I'm going to summarize what I said, okay? We have seen in this presentation that animals do have systems of communication. That must be clear, students. At least some kinds of animals do, but that they are always different in certain key aspects from human language. These key aspects are, first, that humans can make an infinite amount of messages with this limited set of building blocks, just as I explained at the beginning when I talked about the alphabet. Second, students, humans can talk about things other than the here and now. And thirdly, language is fundamentally cooperative tool for humans. So in this presentation, we will look at a little bit further at what language is, okay, in the next videos, in the next presentations. So we are going to answer the question, is it really true that all humans have a language? So pay attention to the next videos because we are going to go deeply into that interesting question, okay?